Hey guys, welcome to your next video, your next project. In this project, we're going to be building a message board application, and this is going to be similar to the idea manager that we created, except we're going to implement a couple extra things. We're going to add the accounts UI mod or package that will allow us to have a login, and then we can add some access control, and we'll add some security features and so on. So this is it. It's very simple. Basically, we have these messages that have the user's name, the message, and then the date, which we actually formatted with a package called Moment or Moment.js. So I can go and double click on these and nothing happens. But once we log in as a user, we'll be able to delete our own messages by double clicking or double tapping on the device. So let's go ahead and actually create a new account. And we'll just say for this Sam as our username, and then password confirm, create account, and that logs us right in. You can see we're logged in as Sam. And if I say hello world and then submit, it gets added right to the top. Now if I double click on Mike's message, nothing happens. If I do on my own, you'll see that it gets deleted. So we do have some access control. We also can't submit messages if we're logged out. You'll see the form disappears. So that's what we're building, pretty simple, and that's it. I will see you in the next video. Alright, we're going to get started on our Meteor message board application. So I'm in my project/Meteor folder, and I'm going to just generate a new application. So we're going to say Meteor create, and we're going to call this Messageboard, and that should create our app. Okay, we also want to open that up with Atom, which is what I'm using for my editor. So let's see, projects, Meteor, and Messageboard. Alright, so that's created. So let's cd into Messageboard. And from here, we want to install a couple different packages. Okay, so we're going to be using the accounts import or the accounts package so that we can actually log in. We can create an account and we can do a little bit of access control. So we're going to say meteor add, and we want to add a package called accounts-ui, and then also accounts-password. Okay, we want to use these two together, so let's go ahead and run that. Alright, so that's all set. So now let's just run Meteor, and that should start the application on port 3000. Alright, I'm going to go into my client folder, and let's create a new folder here called templates. Okay, and we're going to have basically, we're just going to have two templates. We're going to have one for the add form, for the add message, and then one for the actual messages. So let's say new file, and we'll call this add.html. And then let's create another one, and we'll call this messages.html. Alright, so now we're going to go to this main.html file, and what we're going to do is just add those templates. So we can get rid of these two, this hello and this info. Just get rid of those completely, and then we'll have the add here and then the messages. Oops. Okay, we'll get rid of, actually we'll just replace this h1 and we'll just say message board. Why do I keep doing that? And I'm actually going to just give this an h1 a class of header. Okay, and then we'll just change this to message board. Alright, let's save that. And our app should be running. Okay, but we're going to get an error here, and that's because we didn't add the template tags yet. Okay, and we also want to get rid of everything that's in main.js. So just get rid of all of that, except for the imports. Okay, we'll save that, and then let's go to add.html and create our template tag with a name attribute of add. Okay, and for now we'll just say add like that. So let's copy that and go to messages, paste that in. We'll change this here to messages and then change this to messages and save. Okay, so there we go. We have our two components outputting here, or templates rather. Now the user accounts package is extremely easy to implement. The only thing that we really have to do is add in an include in our template. So let's go to add.html, main.html, and we'll go right above the add here and below the h1, and we're going to put in double curly brace and then login buttons. Okay, and then under that we're just going to put in HR. So let's save that. And now you'll see that we have this little sign-in link, and if we click it, we can log in with an email and a password. You can also click create account, and we can create a simple account here. Now what I want to do is configure this to take in a username instead of an email, and you can do whatever you like. If you want to keep the email, that's fine, but what we're going to do is just go over here and create inside the client a folder called config, and then inside the config folder we want to create a new file, and we're going to call this accounts-config.js, and then we can put any config we want in here for the accounts package. So I'm going to first just import accounts, and that's going to come from meteor/accounts-base, and then we want to take that accounts object and we're going to say .ui.config, pass in here an object, and we're going to specify password sign up fields and set that to username underscore only. Okay, so that's going to basically replace that email field with a username. So let's save that, and then you're going to have to restart the server in order for that to, oh actually you don't, I thought you did, but I guess not. So you can see it changed to username. So what we'll do here is create an account. So we'll put in our username, I'll just say Brad, and then a password, confirm the password, and now it logs us right in as Brad. Okay, and we can click that and you'll see we can change our password, or we can choose to sign out. So now we have a login functionality for our application. You can see how extremely easy that was to do. Now when we create our messages, when we do that, I think in the next video, we're going to be able to also insert the user ID and also the username, so that way next to our messages we can actually put the username, and then we can add some access control. Okay, so that's what we'll be moving on to next. Alright, in the last video we set up our initial application and we also added the login functionality here. Now we want to create a form so that we can create messages. Alright, so let's go to our add.html template, and in here we're going to add a form and give it an ID of message form. And in here we're going to have an input. Oops. Type is going to be text. Name will also be text. And then we don't want a value, we want a placeholder. And that's going to just say create message. And then under that we'll put a button and we'll give it a type of submit. And in here we'll just say send. Okay, we'll save that and that should update. Okay, so there's our form. Now we want to create an event when we submit this, but before we do that, let's go ahead and create the collection, because right now we don't have the messages collection to submit to. So we're going to go to the root of our application, create a folder called lib, and inside there we're going to create a file and we're going to call this collections.js. All right, now in here we're going to import Mongo, and that's going to be from meteor/Mongo. And then all we have to do is create this messages variable and set it to new mongo.collection, and we want to call this collection messages. And that's it. So let's save that. And now we should be able to work with the messages collection. All right, even if we go down here in the console and we say messages.find.fetch, it gives us an empty array. So what we need to do now is create an event to catch this submission. So let's go back to the client and go to main.js. And then we want to say template.add, because that's where the form is, and then .events. And then in here we'll pass in some curly braces, and we want to say we want the submit event for the message form. Okay, make sure your form has an ID of message form. Okay, we're going to pass the event in right here, and then we want to prevent the default action, so we're just going to say event.prevent default. Okay, and we want to catch the text value here that's going to be in the input. So let's say const target, and we're going to set that to the event.target, and then we want to take that target and get the text from it. So const text equals target.text.value, because we want to catch the value. Now once we do that, we want to do our insert. So we're going to take the messages collection and we're going to insert into it, and we want to insert the text that's coming from the form. We also want to create created at, and that's going to be set to new date. And then we're also going to do owner. Okay, the owner of the message, which we can get from meteor.user ID. Okay, that's coming from the accounts package that we installed. We'll automatically be able to get the user ID. We'll also be able to get the username, so we're going to put that as well. We can get that with meteor.user, which is a function, and then .username, and that'll return the username. And then finally we just want to return false, because after that we're all done. Alright, so let's make sure that that's saved, and let's try it out. So in create message, let's just say hello and click send. Events is not defined. Oh, this should actually be event, not events. So let's say hello, send, and then it's not going to show because we haven't done that yet, but let's try to do the find fetch. Looks like we have an object, and let's see, it has the text hello, the username Brad, the ID, the owner, which is the user ID, and then the create date. Good. So we can now submit messages. In the next video, we're going to get those messages and output them underneath the form. Alright, so we're now able to submit messages, and you can see that it got submitted, but we want to make it so that we can show the messages in the application. So in the main.js file in the client folder, we want to create our helper for the messages template. So let's say template.messages.helpers, and in here we'll pass in our curly braces, and then we'll say messages. We're going to set that to a function, and then all we want to do here is return the messages collection by calling .find, and we want to order these. So the first parameter is just going to be some empty curly braces. Second, we're going to put some more curly braces and just say sort, and we want to sort by created at, and we want that to be descending, so we want to do -1 here. Okay, so now we should have access to this messages from within the messages template. So let's go to messages HTML, get rid of that, and then let's put in a div, and then we want to loop through the messages, so we'll do each messages, and then we want to just end the each down here, and let's say div class message, and in here let's put in the username. Actually, I want to wrap that in strong tags. And then put a colon, and then the text, and then let's put in a span, and in here we're going to put the date, which is going to be created at. So let's go ahead and save that, and there's our message. So if we put another one in here, let's just say hi there and send, it automatically shows up. Okay, no page refresh or anything needed. Now I don't like how the date looks. It's way too long. It even says this Eastern Daylight Time. So I want to format this, and there's actually a really nice JavaScript package called Moment, or Moment.js, that we can use here. So I'm going to go to the command line and make sure I'm in the directory, which is Messageboard, and then we're going to say meteor add moment.js : moment, and that should install the Moment package for us. And then what we'll do is go to our client main.js file, and we're going to register a helper function called format date, and we're going to use moment. So let's say template dot register helper, and we're going to call this format date, and then we'll have a function that's going to take in the original date, and then we want to return moment and pass in date, and then dot format, and then the type of formatting we want to use, which I'm going to do month, day, year. Alright, so yeah, let's save that. And then we'll go back to the messages template, and for this created at, we're just going to put in format date. Okay, and then it'll call that function, and then it'll pass in created at. So let's save. And now we have a much better formatted date. Actually, you know what? Let's put the time as well. So back in the main.js right here, we should be able to just say h : mm : ss, and then a, and that should be in quotes, and take this one off. Alright, let's try that. Alright, there we go. So now we have the date and the time. Now I just want to add a little bit of styling here, so I'm going to go to main CSS, and let's say body. I just want to change the font family to Arial. And then for the header, just want to text align to the center. And then the message form, we're going to add padding of 5 pixels. And let's see, we'll do a background. Background is going to be a hexadecimal, and it's going to be, let's see, 596595, I believe, and that's the blue color that matches this, kind of like the Facebook colors. And we just want to make the coloring for the text white, and let's make a margin bottom of 10 pixels. Alright, and then let's also do the messages themselves. So those have a class of .message, and we'll set padding to 8 pixels. Let's set a background of a light gray, and then I just want to do a margin bottom of 5 pixels. Alright, and then the date part of it, I want it, that's actually wrapped in a span. So let's target that, and then I just want to change the color to gray, so 6 E's, and save. Okay, so that looks a lot better. So in the next video, we're going to do a little bit, we're going to make it so that we can actually delete these, but we want to make it so only the user that posted them can delete them. We also want to do some other security protocols. We want to get rid of the auto publish and also get rid of the insecure package. Okay, so that's what we're looking at next. Hey guys, in this video we're going to take a couple security protocols that you should do when you're creating Meteor applications like this. First thing I want to do is I don't want to call, for instance, the insert right from here like this. What we'll do is create a method. We'll create that on the server, and then we'll call that method from here instead of just calling the actual insert. Okay, now before we do that, we're going to remove a package called insecure. Okay, so let's go to our command line, and we're going to do meteor remove insecure. Alright, so that was removed, and now what we want to do is go to server and then main.js, and this is where we want to create our methods. So I'm going to get rid of this meteor startup, and we're going to say meteor.methods. Okay, pass that in, and then let's create one called messages.insert. Okay, and that's going to take in the text we want to insert, and then we're just going to do an if statement because I want to check for to make sure the user is logged in. So we can say if not meteor.user ID, then we want to we'll say throw new meteor.error, and we'll just say not we have to do not authorized. Alright, and then under that we're going to do our insert. So we can grab the insert from the main.js in the client, which is this right here. So we'll just copy that and put that right there. And we shouldn't need to change anything here. So let's go ahead and save that. And then we should be able to call this method from our client now. So we're going to just get rid of this completely. And then we'll just do meteor.call, and we want to call the messages insert, and then we also want to pass along the text as a parameter. Okay, and that should do that. So let's go ahead and try that. Just say test, send, and now we can send, and we're calling the method as opposed to doing it right in the client. Now we also want to remove auto publish because we want to basically subscribe to the server to messages.find on the server instead of running it right here. So let's go back to the command line, and we're going to say meteor remove auto publish. And once it does that, we won't be able to see the messages anymore until we subscribe to it. Okay, so you can see that those have now disappeared. So what we need to do is go to the server main.js file, and let's go right up here and say meteor.publish, and we'll say messages, and then put a function called messages publication. And in here, we're just going to return messages collection dot find. So let's save that. And now what we have to do is we need to subscribe to that. So we'll go back to our client, and we need to do we need to use one of the hooks. We're going to use the onCreated. So this will run when this template is loaded. So we'll say template.messages.onCreated. Oops. Okay, and then in here we're going to pass along function and then body onCreated. And then we need to subscribe, so we'll say meteor.subscribe, and we want to subscribe to messages. So let's go ahead and save that, and now we can see our messages again. Okay, so just a couple security measures that should be taken. Another thing I want to do is only show this form if we're logged in, and that's very easy. We just have to go to our add HTML and go right above the form here and just do if current user, and then down here we'll end it. So let's go ahead and save that. Now we should still see it, but if we log out, you can see the form is now gone. Okay, so you have to be logged in to be able to post a message. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to be able to delete our messages, but only our own messages. So let's log back in here, and let's go to main.js in the client, and we want to create an event down at the bottom here. Okay, and this is going to be the message in the messages template. And we're going to say on double click on the class of message. So I want them to be able to double tap on the message and have it delete only if it's their message. So let's go ahead, and we're going to actually put this in our methods on the server. So we're going to just do meteor.call, and we're going to call messages.remove, and we just want to pass along this ._id. Alright, and then we'll go back to the server main.js, and let's add another method here. So we're going to put a comma, and then we'll say messages.remove, and remember that's going to be passed in the ID. And then all we want to do here is messages.remove, pass in the ID. Now if we leave it like this, anyone can delete any message. So we just want to wrap this in an if. Okay, and we want to check for, let's see, actually first we need to get the message. So let's say const message equals messages dot find one, and then pass in the ID. So that'll get us the current message, and then we just want to compare. So we'll say if message.owner is equal to meteor.user ID, which is the currently logged in user. If that matches, then they'll be able to delete. So let's go ahead and reload. Okay, and then I'm going to double click, and you see it deletes. Now what I want to do is log out and then create an account as another person. Let's say Mike. Okay, and then I'll double tap this, and you'll see nothing happens. I can't delete it. But if I put my own in here, see Mike test, and then I can delete it. Alright, so that's it. Actually, one more thing, guys. We can't see the date anymore because of the background color, so I'm just going to go back to main CSS, and let's change this from E's to all A's. Alright, so now we can actually make the date out. So that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial, this project section, whatever you want to call it, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.